Howdy ho guys, and welcome to another Bojinian vlog. So, today I wanted to talk about something as I mentioned, it should be 2 weeks ago now, but like in that intro I talked about balance. And how balance is essentially, if you're on a journey, then like you kind of go through many different periods where like you realize something, you have a new perspective on life, and then but then that lasts for a while, and then you have another one, and you go out and you meet people, and then you try different things. Like you try things that are supposedly good for you, like maybe you want to eat healthy food, or like whatever, exercise, and you try all these different things, right? And eventually, at some point, you start to realize that the importance of all of these things in the bigger picture. That because at first you're okay, so I need to do this because because it's good for me, and this is the thing that's going to help my life. And then and then you realize that oh, you're still kind of miserable, and then you try something else, and you're like, maybe this is the thing that solves my life. And then again you do it for a while, and it's and you realize eventually that it's a collection of things. All of these things are just little pieces that fit into the bigger picture, right? And I recommended in that video, a video by Matt Kahn, a spiritual teacher. I think it was entitled Circulating Energy. So if you haven't watched that video, then I encourage you to watch it if you're interested in that kind of thing. Or if you haven't watched my original video 2 weeks ago, then I would suggest you watch that if you're interested in learning about my own journey thus far, and my discoveries in terms of balance and stuff like that. And being more energetically open, and being less resistant, and forcing myself to do things and relying strictly on willpower, but kind of moving into more of a modality of organic motivation, where I just do things, and I'm more heart-centered, which is the ultimate goal of many of us, right? Heart-centered living. But in this entry, I wanted to talk about something something related to that. It's more practical advice. How to be more curious and open-minded. And because this was always a problem for me. It's I was always kind of a bit slow on the uptake. My old friends would always kind of discover new things and be like, hey Bo, check this out, and I'd be like, yeah, okay. But I always just felt I don't like this, or I'm being dragged along by this, and it's but then at some point in my life I was I'm just not a curious person. It's just for me, finding new stuff is a chore. It's just I have to find new stuff, and then I have to and finding new stuff means that it doesn't always mean that it's gonna be something I actually like, and it tends to be the case that I don't like it, and it's just oh man, but I know that I have to do it, and it's this whole kind of energetic constriction thing that we have. And the sun's setting a bit, so it's getting a bit dark. But yeah, and so what do you do, right? And it's yeah, I understand it. If you're having this problem, it's kind of it's a tricky one, and it kind of also, I guess, it's not just curiosity. It links to a lot of things, as an example. It links to being social, as an example. It's how do I become more extrovert? I'm just so introverted, and I don't know how I can become more extroverted, and be more social. It's just I just don't know how to do it. I try to force myself to meet more people and stuff like that, but it just ends up it just ends up I just get exhausted, and it just makes me feel more shitty about myself and stuff like that. And it's the same with curiosity. It seems that it feels like the more that you learn and the more that you try, the more you feel you don't know, and that you're a piece of shit because you don't have the same level of curiosity as other people have, right? Some people are just naturally curious. Some people are oh my god, this thing, and then they're always looking for new things, and it's you're just I guess I'm just not one of those people, and it fucking sucks. I just don't know what's wrong with me, right? How do we deal with this? Well, that is the universal question, isn't it? Well, I'm going to explain to you how And of course, I'm no expert in it. Like, I just understand the principle, and I'm applying it in my own life. But you know, I'm not perfect in this. But like, I hope that my kind of own discoveries will kind of give you some insights on how to solve this. But essentially, there's a very, like, it's a very kind of desperate energy that most of us feel when we have a problem like this. Like, I'm not XXX enough, you know. It's just like, you're just like, you just feel like so desperate. You're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm just not chatty enough. Or I'm not like, I don't like people enough. I don't like this enough. And it's like, it's a very desperate energy, right? So I want you to focus on the energy of it, right? And that energy of desperation is based off of a feeling of unsafety, right? And that feeling of unsafety comes from a lack of ownership of yourself, right? So like, when we're in that desperate space, right? Like, the thing that we're desperate to do is to try and like, is to struggle our way towards that thing, you know. If I want to be more curious, I need to, you know, I need to read more, and I need to watch more shows, and I need to listen to more music, and I need to do more stuff. If I want to be more social, I need to keep forcing myself to go out to meet people, and forcing myself out to go with more people. But like, the thing is that, like, it's exhausting, right? It's exhausting, right? And so like, you do that, and like, it doesn't work. The bottom line is, like, it's not to say like it never works, or like there's nothing you can learn from it, because that's never the case in life. Like, anything you do in life, you can learn something from, and there's always a way that you can kind of move forwards from it, right? You know, but like, the thing is that, like, it's tiring, and the reason it's tiring is because you're bypassing yourself to get to that. And what I mean by this is, like, if you look at yourself in the mirror, or you think of yourself, and you think about the things that you truly enjoy, do you cringe? Do you feel ashamed of yourself? And if you do, it means you haven't owned yourself yet. And that's the reason you're not curious. That's the answer. It's because you have not yet owned yourself. You have not found your home. Right? And of course, here I'm not talking about a physical home, although like that could be part of it. But what I mean by home is a sense that you, it's a feeling of safety, right? It's a feeling of like, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and that's me, and I'm happy about that, right? And if you do not feel, if you feel like desperate, like if you're like, oh, I have this problem, and like I'm not curious enough, or I'm not talkative enough, or I'm not extroverted enough, or I'm not knowledgeable enough, or I'm not XXX enough, it's like, it's because you haven't owned yourself. And of course, like, this has been my own experience, right? And I would wager that this is what most people like myself, sensitive people, you know, like have in terms of their experience and like their problem. But like, for some people it's different, you know, like if you're more kind of like a hustler type of personality, maybe you're less bothered about this. Maybe you just brute force through it. But like for someone like myself, sensitive, like it wasn't until I finally started to own myself and my identity and my passions and my dreams and what I love, that I started to organically become more curious. And it's only a recent thing. Like it's only like you know, like a quarter of the way into this year that I started being like a bit more like open-minded about things. You know, like for example, like yeah, I'm typically a very picky person, you know, like I'm not like I said, you know, I have this problem. Like I'm not like super curious about things. I'm not super like, I'm not one of those people who are like trend hoppers and who are like, oh, like the newest thing. I'm like, mainstream stuff puts me off mostly. I'm just like, whenever there's a lot of people swarming around it, I'm like, you know, it's like, I'm already put off, you know. But like, you know, a quarter of the way into this year, I started like being like, hey, I don't actually, you know, let's check out some stuff. Like recently, like I subscribed to like this K-pop channel, right? And like, I used to be like a really big like a big-ish K-pop fan, but like at some point I lost interest because like it's like you know, it's one of the things you grow out of, you know, kind of thing, if you're not super into it, you know. But like, and that was me. But like, but recently I subscribed to a K-pop channel, and like it's partly because like I'm doing music, so like I'm like, and like as far as I'm concerned, like K-pop right now is like the Bible in terms of how to like produce music, you know. Like if you want to make good music, obviously good music is subjective, but if you are a music creator and you want to learn how to make like modern sounding music, beats, and like, you know, fusion and stuff like that, it's like this really awesome fusion between like EDM and like trap, you know, like kind of really modern, like you know, stuff that's really kind of like Skrillex-esque and like glitchy and stuff, but then it's mixed with like kind of like ballad sensibilities, where it's like there's like the tunes are really catchy and like and heartwarming, but also like it's funky, you know. It's like it's got like kind of rhythm guitar and like the synths are like all like very kind of like lush and like and it feels like funky as well, and it's jazzy, and it's just like it's so good, you know. But it's like I wouldn't have done that. You know, that's an example, you know, like, and like, yeah, and like, I used to fucking hate new EDM and like trap music and stuff like that, and it's like, I still don't really much care for stuff like that, but like, recently, you know, I've been listening, like, you know, occasionally I listen to songs and I'm like, I wouldn't listen to this in my spare time, but like, for the first time in my life, like, I don't mind it. You know, it's just a piece of music. It's like, but like the thing is, that's because I know what I like. I own what I like. I like traditionally, like funky stuff, like kind of disco-y stuff, like mostly Japanese, like kind of type stuff. Because Japanese people, like at a certain period in history, like kind of like 80s to like 2000s, basically, like they kind of really innovated in terms of like a lot of stuff, really, you know. But like in terms of music and art, like it was very kind of like they you know, they really kind of took on board things like acid jazz and like Brazilian type of music, like bossa nova, you know, stuff like that, and like kind of like ballad stuff, you know, and like spiritual stuff, and like soundtracks. Like I grew up listening to game soundtracks like Final Fantasy and like all of this amazing like game music, right? And like, and that shaped my music sensibilities. And like, I know now that that's the kind of stuff I like to make, you know. Like I like to make, and recently, you know, and like jazz and stuff like that. So like, if you listen to any of my music, then like, yeah, you'll kind of find the type of music I want to make. It's just like jazzy, dreamy, you know, like dreamy, jazzy, funky. But also I like to make kind of like really kind of like soundtracky, like RPG type, but also like kind of like really like kind of touching ballads and things of that nature. That's what I really resonate with, right? You know, I'm into like, I'm also into like, you know, like Brazilian music, like bossa nova. It's like, bossa nova is so good. It's so good, you know. But like, it's just like so sensual and dreamy and like full of taste and feeling. It's ridiculous, man. But like, but I know I like that stuff, and I know I'm making that stuff, and I know that stuff is what I'm about. And now that I know that, I can listen to a piece of trap music that's like, and then like all this stupid hi-hat like fills, you know, and like, you know, and I'm like, I wouldn't listen to this in my spare time, really, but like, but you know, it's okay. I mean, the rhythm is catchy, you know, it has that kind of hi-hat thing, you know. EDM, like it is kind of catchy, like it is kind of like interesting, like because they use lots of different sounds in their production, like lots of ear candy and stuff like that, ambience, you know, a lot like, and a lot of kind of glitchy, like, you know, like, yeah, like the production is really kind of like surgical, like they have like kind of like all these gated reverbs and like auto filters and like all of this weird and wonderful like production stuff, and it's like, I'm like, it's okay. You know, and like, and since then, like, I've found stuff that actually I like, kind of, in those genres, right? And this is all just an example of, like, it took me being like, you know, this is what I'm about, to finally be like, okay, I can kind of dig this other stuff. Of course, it's not quite as as that. It's not quite as like, whoop, quantum as that is. It's more like, it took me a lot of, like, you know, trying to find new stuff, but then being exhausted by it, because I'm like, I don't like this stuff. Like, rap music, you know, like gangster rap, like, oh, please, you know, like, I'd rather listen to, like, a jackhammer, like, on the street, you know, like, kind of a thing. And, you know, I went from that, and, like, I was like, well, let me at least try to find stuff that I like, and, like, and I slowly began to, like, make my discovery process. So, like, I actually did a video about this entitled, what is it called? Love-based discovery, something-based discovery. Like, like, the name of the video escapes me right now, but, like, I made an entry, taste-guided discovery, that's what I called it, taste-guided discovery. Check that video out, where I talk about, like, if you're not someone who likes discovering, then you've got to identify exactly the kind of music that you want, and then, like, because that will motivate you to be like, if I can find more music like this that I already love, that'd be fucking awesome, right? But, like, that's all part of the process of owning what you love, you know, to the point where you can be like, if you're in a conversation with someone and someone asks you, what kind of music do you like? And, like, as opposed to, like, how it used to be, like, for me, like, oh, I'm like, oh, I listen to everything, you know, like I like, you know, I like jazz and pop and stuff. Like, now I can be like, or, you know, or, like, yeah, now I can be like, you know, I like this, you know, jazz, bossa nova, like, just Japanese style, like, soundtracks, and, like, pop music and K-pop, and, like Snarky Puppy, you know, stuff like that, you know, and, like, you know, all of these, like, there's so much good music, man. There's so much good music that I've had the privilege of, like, listening to over the years, man. Oh my god, I could go on for hours just listing the music that has changed my life. But anyway, getting off topic here a bit, like, getting, like, kind of digressing a bit, but, like, and like, you know, like, what do you like? And, like, I like anime. I do, you know, like, I'm not super as into it as I used to be, but I do like anime. I like cutesy things like that, you know, I like, typically, like, more, like, kind of shoujo type stuff, you know, not, like, you know, and that's what I've always been about. Like, I like games, RPGs, indie games, you know, Tekken, Smash, you know, like, I like spirituality, you know, I like sensuality, you know, like, just pleasuring myself, you know, and I can look someone in, potentially, obviously, we'll see if I can actually do this, but, like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm happy with that. I don't feel ashamed anymore. I used to be hella ashamed to be like, yeah, I like anime. I like games. I like anime. That makes me a weirdo. I like games. That makes me immature. I like spirituality. That makes me like a tree hugger, like hippie type, you know. And it's like all of these like thoughts of shame. And, like, in that state, I was like, okay, I need to become more knowledgeable. I need to do this. No. What I needed to do was to own myself more. You know, even to put down that stuff, or, like, to take that stuff in more in terms of what I loved. The minute that, like, I recognized that, like, okay, you know, people need to find new stuff. I need to find new stuff. If I don't find new stuff, then I'm going to stagnate. You know, like, it's just like, and I'll be disconnected from society, you know. It's just like, in some ways, I couldn't care less what the mainstream cares about. Like, I know most of it is shit. You know, like, that's just my opinion, you know, like, I really couldn't care less what the next big thing is. But, like, the thing is that if you do nothing in the way of discovering new stuff and, like, that kind of thing, that's kind of limiting, don't you think? You know, and so, like, you know, I'm like, that kind of fear-based thinking, you know, because that's what it is, like kind of drove me to be like, okay, I need to find a way to discover, right? And I had a bit of a crisis over that. But then eventually I realized, wait a minute, what if I could find, and like, it's like, this is so weird when a thought like that occurs to you, right? Because it's like, it's so fucking obvious. Like, of course, it's like, the whole point of discovery is to find stuff that you love. But it just hit me, I'm like, I can just find stuff that I love, you know? And if I don't like it, I can just fuck it off. Like, what took me so long to realize this? That's the reason. And it kind of eventually kind of reeled back into this idea of like owning yourself, to be more curious, to be more extroverted, to be more knowledgeable, right? So in order to organically do stuff, of course, like it's not everything. Like you have to like there's an element of you know, like sometimes you need a kick in the like up the arse, like a rude awakening kind of a thing, like where it's just like maybe I need more knowledge because I need to learn this skill. Like maybe sometimes it is resistance based. You know, what are you going to do about it? Sometimes you're like I am not whatever enough. I need to do something about it, right? But like the overall thing that is going to yield the most for you in any pursuit like this, like in kind of like learning to become more open in some way, is to realize who you are. Because before you have realized who you are and you can admit to yourself and accept it and to embrace it and to not be ashamed of it whenever you think about it or you look at yourself in the mirror or you tell someone about yourself, before you have gotten to that point, it will always feel like you're abandoning yourself. It will. It will always feel threatening. It will always feel like, I've got to do this, but mainstream, you know, because you don't have a home yet. You can't say this is me. That's what you want to say. That's what you've wanted to say all this time. It's like, this is me. I like games. You know, mostly retro games. You know, and yes, that makes me immature. You know, those things for kids apparently, right? Even though like more adults nowadays probably play them than ever before, right? Like, I like anime. Yes, they're cartoons. They're not real people. They're over the top and chock full of fucking fan service. And just like shameless pandering to its audience. And I don't profess to say, like, I don't claim that I like all anime, but like I do, like, you know, there are some favorites that I have, you know, the capo, elfin lead, you know, as examples. But like, I like spirituality, you know. Yeah, it's to the more practically minded, it's kind of just a lot of fantasizing and like mental masturbation and like just like, you know, being like overly like kind of like woo woo and shit. And it's like, yeah, I suppose, but I love it. I love it, you know. I love it. I love all of these things that I love. And like, for once in my life, I'm proud of it. You know, I can be like, this is me. And with that home, you can then build it. You can then start to build something. Because before you have that home, you're building, you're like everything you build is destined to crumble and collapse. Think Minecraft. Just as like a funny like analogy, like think Minecraft survival mode, right? You're playing Minecraft survival mode before you build a house that is shut off from the monsters that are going to fucking melt your face off or blow you into Kingdom Come. And then build like a crafting table and build a bed that you can sleep on to skip the night. You're pretty much like fucked. I'm sure there are some brave souls who do that shit, but like the analogy is like you have to own yourself. You have to build a home for yourself. And what does that mean? It means an identity. And you have to be really honest with yourself. But the great thing is that if you are really honest with yourself, aka you're not thinking about like, what does this make other people think about me? Does this mean I'm cool? Does this mean I'm lame? Is this going to help me succeed in society? Don't think about that. Just think about purely if you love it or not. Do you love Final Fantasy? If you do, you love Final Fantasy. There's no like, oh yeah, games. Just games. I love Final Fantasy. It's one of my favorite franchises in the past. You know, I love this. You know? And it's like, this is really all my journey has been. I think this is a nice little summary from my journey. It's like, my journey has been full of ups and downs and like perspectives and like I said 2 weeks ago, like just like it's perspectives and like learning to deal with my feelings and all of this random you know, just watch my videos and you'll see my fucking journey. That's the great thing about doing videos that I would recommend actually, or doing any kind of recording, is like you can see physically manifested the details of your journey. You can see like where you were. I have written diary entries dating back to 2010. That's when I started to start to journal, and I've been doing it consistently up till now for 7 years. So I have like a 7-year like charter of what my journey looks like, you know, which is cool. You know, it's awesome. But like, yeah, you know, that is what my journey has been. It is building a home for myself, building my own thoughts, independent thinking, as I put it, you know, owning my feelings, recognizing that I can be happy. I am free to express my joy. That's part of it. It's like you like to learn to accept what you love. You have to accept the feeling that it gives to you. You know, you have to be with that feeling and like also sit with the shame of that feeling and like to question that shame. Why do I feel ashamed? You know, take a walk and think about it. Do a vlog entry. Do a vocal diary entry like I do with my phone. Vocal diary entry. Just pretend you're on the phone. You know, write a diary, a written diary. You know, do something. You know, and ask yourself the important question. Why do I not yet own who I am? Because believe me, once you do, you will find your curiosity. You will find whatever. You will finally find your desire for living. And that is something that we, spiritual people, another label, strive for. Obviously, like, you know, we're trying to strive for like other things like success and intimate relationships, but like, for me, like, it may be, you know, like, maybe it's a bit kind of pretentious for me to say. Who knows, like, I could lose all of this right now. I'm not in like a particularly like safe place, but like right now I feel like the most like safe that I've ever have, because I own my lifestyle more or less, you know, more or less, like more than I ever have. I own my lifestyle, I own my thoughts, I own my feelings, and I own what I love and my desires and everything. And I'm continually on this journey to like accept more and more parts of myself. Because like, yes, there will be times when you need to be taken away from yourself where like, yeah, you do need to become better at something. So you need to learn it. You do need to force yourself out of the house to jog or to meet people. You have to force yourself. But like, the journey is like, you learn to like expand more and more that feeling of yourself, to be okay with yourself. And the more that you do that, the more that you will then connect with life. Because right now, if you have this problem, like I can relate to this, because like, again, I'm not perfect. I'm still on this journey. I'm just sharing what I learned so far. And it's like, you might feel that like, you just don't fit into the world. You know, it's like, you don't resonate with what mainstream does. And it's just like, most people, what they're doing is alien to you. Or like, really like, just asinine, really, you know. It's just like, and like you feel like you're just like this loner who like can't relate with anyone, and it's like you feel out of touch. You feel like there are all these people who are doing, you do feel like guilty because like all of these people are doing these amazing things, and like you have your own thoughts and stuff, but like you're not in these communities with these people and like doing all of these amazing things with other people, and it's like you're like, I'm just so out of the loop. Well, if you're on this journey, that means that you committed to heart-centered living. You wouldn't be honest, like, you know, it's like, you will realize this, don't worry, you know, don't take it from me. Like, you will come to realize this, you will come to learn this, you will come to really, really come to, like, appreciate this, you know. It's that you did this for you. You did this for you. You did this because you just love the things you love too much. Too much, like, you can't live any other way, it's your nature, you know. And so if you chose this journey for you, or if you're thinking of taking this journey for you, then this is what will happen, is like you're on the journey of ownership. Obviously there are all these other challenges, like you need to like learn to make money, you need to learn to meet people and to like coexist with other people, you know. I'm still on that journey, you know. And you need to learn to cook, clean, hygiene, work in a team with other people, like, you know, do things that you don't necessarily enjoy, but like to learn to like also like you know, alter, like to grow your perspective so that you can find a motivation to do those things. Like for me, like I make sure that like what I do is truly necessary, or like that's the message that I got this year. It's like there are some things that just aren't necessary. Okay, you need to make money, you need to like take care of where you live, you need to, you know, take care of yourself, but pretty much everything else is not necessary if you don't want it to be, you know. Just focus on those things, you know, eat well, exercise, but then like pour the rest of your time in what you enjoy and watch that shit grow. You know, like I started this vlog entry like 2014, I mean that's 3 years ago, but like I already have like 150, almost 160 entries, man. I have something. And like it's you know, you could argue that, you know, someone could make an argument like, well, but like it's not as if you have anything businessly viable. If you're just speaking to a camera, and who cares? There's so many vloggers on YouTube anyway. It's like, but I have something, and I can keep doing it until I can't do anymore. But like, as long as I can, aka as long as I live, I'm gonna find some way of doing this, whatever this is, articulating myself, expressing myself. I have my music, you know. I can make music. I can play the piano, you know, and I'm always improving because I'm doing it. It's so crazy when you start to do what you truly want to do in life. Again, like, you will go through phases, you know, sometimes you're like, well, is this really what I want to do? Like, is this really what I need to do? Is this truly my purpose? You'll have those moments of self-doubt. And you'll go through them, and like maybe you'll jump around a bit. Like, for example, like I've tried so many things. I've tried doing these vlog entries. I've tried like writing fiction. That didn't go very far. Like I wrote a few books, funnily enough. Like it was funny. I might even finish them one day. But like I went to music college and then dropped, and then like no, I didn't drop out. I graduated, but like I didn't do anything in music after that for a while, you know. Yeah, I tried loads of different things, but like, you know, ultimately my battery's about to run out again, so I better wrap this up quick. So yeah, it's so crazy that like, and you keep doing them and you get better. And like, who knows what the future will bring? Maybe I'll fail, right? But and like, I'm sure that like I'll have days when I think about that and it makes me depressed. But like, the more that I keep going, the more that like I feel like I'm finally my own person after all this time. And it's so amazing to me, you know. I'm so grateful. And like that gratefulness, no, you're not a lovable person enough, you know. I've always thought that, and like I always felt like I was a bit selfish and self-centered. But like, the more that I see myself being myself and owning myself, the more I feel I can give to other people. I've always, like I said, like social anxiety, all this stuff. I've always been a bit self-centered and like egocentric, right? But like, the more that I feed into myself, the more that I can then feel I can bring to other people. That's the irony. You know, that if you have something you want to fix, whether you want to be more curious or more extrovert or whatever it might be, find yourself first. Trust me. Again, like, go through the journey, you know, try forcing yourself. That's okay. You know, you should do it, right? But like, you'll find that like eventually you come to accept yourself more and more. And you find that home that you've been longing for so long. And you finally do it. So cool. I'm going to end this entry here. thank you very much, guys, for watching this entry, and if you watch the other entries, thank you so much. You know, thank you so much. I just make these entries because I'm an idiot who likes to talk about stuff that he learns. Yay! You know, so cool. As always, I hope you guys are having a great day and that you found this insightful. Thank you very much for watching this, and look forward to the next one next week on Saturday. So cool. Keep going, guys. Keep finding yourself. Keep owning yourself. Keep being a badass. I love you. Thank you very much for watching this, and I will catch you guys in the next entry. Peace out.